G'day cocktail lovers, I hope you've been keeping well. Hope you're in the mood for a cocktail that is a little different tonight. This was inspired by some conversations that were happening online, in a few forums I'm on, about cocktails with a lot of bitters in it, a lot of Angostura bitters. Greg from How to Drink had a video about this, Angostura heavy cocktails, and there's a few conversations. Trini-Dad Sour is the most famous one, which I have made a video of before. And as I was looking up this online, I found a particular cocktail, and when I saw the name, I absolutely couldn't resist. This cocktail is called You're Not My Real Trini-Dad. And that's just the stupid sort of sense of humor that I have. Really dumb puns like that, dad joke type stuff. I love it. I love it so much. And so I'm gonna make a cocktail now that is not for the faint of heart. And I actually have to stress, I did not test this ahead of time. So this is going to be a real adventure. This is a very Angostura heavy cocktail. Normally you'd only put a couple of dashes in. This time we are really going to town and we are going to make a You're Not My Real Trini-Dad. Now your Angostura Bitters bottle has a dasher in the top to somewhat control the amount that comes out. And I often see people when they're making a cocktail with a lot of bitters, they take the dasher off. Theoretically, you can take it off. I actually struggled with it once or twice. Shut up, I'm not drunk. And it didn't want to come off. But this is pretty free flowing, so I think I can manage it, because instead of 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 or 5 dashes of Angostura bitters, this drink calls for 45 mils, a full 1.5 ounces, which we are going to take our merry little time getting into our jigger. But yes, believe it or not, it isn't just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 dashes. It is 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of Angostura bitters. This recipe also calls for a bit of sherry, and apparently was also invented by Kevin Beery at the 3 Dots and a Dash bar in Chicago, Illinois, USA. So yeah, this is the only other alcohol in the drink, so that's comparatively low ABV, just 1/2 ounce or 15 mils of sherry. Now we get into some rather tropical elements. We're going to put 45 mils, 1.5 ounces of cream of coconut. This is something I made myself. There are the famous brands, that, particularly in the US, but if you want to make your own cream of coconut that doesn't have all the preservatives and whatnot of the store-bought stuff, it's pretty straightforward. Just get coconut milk, not coconut water, coconut milk, and do 50% coconut milk, 50% sugar. You can warm it up on the stove to make it easier to dissolve the sugar. It's not necessarily, but it makes it a bit easier. This is just some homemade cream of coconut I made just before making this video. So we're going to add 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of cream of coconut. We're also going to add 2 ounces or 60 mils of pineapple juice, freshly opened as opposed to freshly squeezed or pressed. As I said before, I think pineapple is the most difficult fruit to get fresh juice for. This is 100%, no sugar added. That's the sort you want to go with if you're going with store-bought. I won't judge you because fresh pineapple juice, such a hassle. Anyway, 2 ounces, 60 mils of pineapple juice. The final touch is 1 ounce or 30 mils of lime juice. Looks like I squeezed just enough today to make this. I'll have to squeeze some more for my next cocktail, but that's okay, keeping it nice and fresh with 30 mils or 1 ounce of lime juice. We add ice to our shaker. It's a very interesting color. We want to put the shaker together, bang it in hard. Now, particularly because of the cream of coconut in here, we want to shake it really hard to make sure it's all incorporated. So a good solid shake for 10 or 15 seconds. Now there's a reasonable amount of volume in this drink, so you'll want a large glass to put it in. You might put it in a Tiki mug with a lot of ice, or a Collins glass. I have this Tiki style goblet, which I haven't used for a while and I quite like. So there's a big old chunk of ice in here. You could do it in crushed ice if you want, but now I'm just, again, not worrying about any small shards of ice in here. It'll add to the whole experience, I think. So I'm just using my Hawthorne strainer to strain this into the goblet. And that fits nicely. We'll put that down. There's a very interesting colour that has been lent to it by the Angostura Bitters. I do the aroma. It's actually really pleasant. There's a little bit fruity and a little bit of the bitters in there. Of course, if you wanted to garnish it, it's Tiki. You could go to town with pineapple fronds and fruit and whatnot. I just want a drink, so I'm not going to do garnishes in this case. But here is the big test. What does this taste like? Oh, that's a cavalcade of flavours. The bitterness from the bitters comes through right at the end. So you do actually have to have a bit of a palate for bitter flavours to appreciate this. Up front, you get the sweetness of the various juices that are in the coconut cream, the pineapple, the lime is up front, but the bitterness comes through on the end. Look, maybe as a slight modifier, if you're not so keen on the bitter flavours, and I'm not big on bitter. Like, I regularly talk about how much I hate Campari because it's too bitter, but I like this. But if you found this to be a bit bitter, maybe in a tall glass with ice, you could even top it with soda, and that would take a little bit of the edge off. Personally, I like it. It's a fascinating colour, a sort of brick red colour, and the other thing that occurs to me is maybe a bit of a foaming agent in there, maybe an egg white. Ooh, maybe I'll actually reshake it with my magic foam and see what happens. So you could do this with egg white or aquafaba, but I have a product called Wonder Foam. There are a few products like this around the world. You put like 4 or 5 drops in to get a foaming effect. All right, time to bang it in hard and give it another shake. Now once more with our Hawthorn strainer, strain that into our glass. I think just presentation wise, I like it more foamy. So yeah, completely optional step, adding either egg white, aquafaba or Wonder Foam, I think really lends to this drink. Yep. So this is something, as I said, you could improvise to your own taste. You could, well, you don't really want to sweeten it much more because it's got all that pineapple juice in. But if it was a bit bitter for you, I'd say put it in a tall glass and top it with soda. It's very interesting. Instead of doing a couple of dashes of bitters, doing 1.5 ounces or 45 mils of bitters is quite an experiment. And personally, I enjoyed it. Your mileage may vary, as the saying goes, but if you want something a little bit different, try a You're Not My Real Trini-Dad, or maybe even a Trini-Dad Sour, something with 45 mils of Angostura Bitters. It's all about the adventure, it's all about exploration, and I hope you join me for some more exploration. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, it would be great if you did, and click the little notification bell so you know when I upload videos, and you can join me for further cocktail adventures down the line, always exploring the frontiers and seeing what we can discover together. In the meantime, I hope you look after yourself, look after people around you. We've only got each other in this very weird world we live in now. So take care. I hope to see you again soon. Until then, cheers.